Hello, hello. Welcome all who are tuning in after the fact. My name is Matt, and we are going to be talking through character creation on a little game called Tales from the Loop, role playing in the 80s that never was. Joining me is our most beloved, favorite best friend, Romeo. Romeo, thank you for joining us.
Hello. Thank you for putting this together. Glad to be here.
I am super excited to share more about this game, uh, and I have prepared a nice long spiel to describe what this game is efficiently and get into the character creation process, which is going to be the extent of what we're going to cover tonight. We're just going to make some characters and then talk and describe what we do with them in the game without really trying much of the mechanics out. Once you have a character, then you can get into the game. If you know what you need to do to jump in, that might grease the wheels a little bit. We can start
Cool.
role playing. Do you have
Is there
any
anything you need?
questions?
Is there anything I need on my end, like dice or paper or something like that?
I would recommend getting some paper out. I have a built-in break. If you have a printer to print out a character sheet, more power to you. But everything can be written out line by line. Might as well get this out ahead of everything. I'm going to add into the chat the PDF for the character sheet. All right. So what I've sent in the chat is the official character sheet that can be found in the book, and you can open that up. Did you get it?
I see it. I'm downloading it now.
All right. So here's a little bit of context about what this game is. Tales from the Loop, role-playing in the 80s that never was, is a complete role-playing system published by Free League that is based on a likewise named collection of illustrations by artist Simon Stalenhag. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. In the game, players take on the roles of kids, a la Stranger Things, living in an alternate history where nuclear fusion was achieved in the 1950s, and at the center of modern technology is an underground megacomplex called the Loop. It's immediately identifiable by three cooling towers that resemble skyscrapers that are topped with glowing blue V shapes. The setting for the game is an alternate 1980s Sweden or Nevada where fashion has embraced shoulder pads, chunky sneakers, windbreakers, and bright splashy patterns, though your kid might not have access to the latest and greatest in fashion trends. The ultimate at-home computing powerhouse is the Commodore 64, and it's more common to go to a friend's house to watch a VHS because it's not so common for both of you to have a VCR at home. As everyday life drags on, there are forsaken robots wandering the woods, and wildlife that has long been extinct that can be seen scavenging through the dumpsters behind the library. Floating magnetrine ships can be seen hauling enormous freight shipments through the sky by taking advantage of Earth's powerful magnetic fields, though they're often regarded as a nuisance for their tendency to disrupt local electronics. Much of what we would consider unusual is commonplace in this timeline, and more often seen as a thing to navigate around than an awe-inspiring event to witness. As kids in this world, your concerns are tied to what your friends think, how your parents' divorce is going to affect your ability to make it to band practice, and how the comic shop is going to close if the mayor insists on leveling it to build a housing development in that part of town. The fact that there's a bipedal robot the size of a truck in the middle of the road with an enormous toothy bite taken out of its body panel just means your bus ride to school
Hmm.
is going to be extra long today. Any questions?
Uh, how do we get started, I guess?
Yeah, well, we get started by creating a kid. And who is the kid that you will play? Here are the possibilities. There are 8 types of kids in this game: the bookworm, the computer geek, the hick, the jock, the popular kid, the rocker, the troublemaker, and the weirdo. The kids that you play can range in age between 10 and 15 years old. 9 is too young, and once you turn 16, you're too old to be spending your weekends solving mysteries with your friends. You can choose to be any age when you create your character, but time will inevitably press on, and if your character turns 16, you must let that character go and create a new one. Each kid has a collection of stats built on attributes, skills, and luck points. We'll look at those in greater detail a little bit later. Your character also has one iconic item, a pride that can be used once per mystery for an automatic success, and an anchor who is an NPC that your kid can go to for support. You can think of them like your character's personal Pokemon Center. Your kid will also have defined relationships with the other kids at the table, maybe your siblings, lab partners, or have a bitter rivalry at the local swimming pool. And finally, your kid will have motivations in the form of a problem, which informs the kind of trouble that you are most likely to get into, and a drive, which is your kid's reason to press further into precarious situations. Any remaining details about your kids, like their name and favorite song, have no mechanical effect on the game, but are encouraged to give your character as much personality as you like. All right, and now we're going to look specifically at stats that are on the character sheet. You've got the PDF.
Yes.
All right. Do you have something to take notes with, like a word processor or a notebook?
I got my notebook right here, and I figured out how to type onto the PDF itself, so we're good.
Yeah. So we'll take this step by step. I'm also going to add some more PDFs into the chat, starting with the kid types.
Yes, I was curious to see what the kid types are, because like some of
Yeah.
them make sense, and some of them are a little more ambiguous, like the weirdo.
Yeah, yeah, I like the weirdo. In the book, I think one of the suggested traits of the weirdo is like, your dad is a communist. Like, okay, yeah, weirdo is the socialist of the group. Um, yeah, the step-by-step creation is first you're going to choose your type, then you're going to decide your age from 10 to 15, followed by distributing points for your attributes, figuring out how many luck points you have, distributing 10 points in specific skills, which are subcategories of your attributes, and picking things like your iconic item, your problem, your drive, and your pride. Then, with a group, we would define relationships between the other kids, as well as relationships with other NPCs in the world. Figuring out who your anchor is, finally, naming your kid, writing a short description, and choosing your favorite song. The first step is choosing a type. Some of the guidelines in the book is that there should only be one of each type of kid per group. So having 2 weirdos would be too many, but that would also be true for 2 jocks or 2 bookworms. And when you choose your type, you will have 3 key skills, and it will also give a list of recommendations. If you're looking at the PDF now, you probably can see how there are like suggestions for what your relationships might be. Suggestions for names are in there. I know that drives, prides, and problems are all things that are recommended in the type description in the book. Do you see any that jump out to you as one that you would like to stick with?
I think my typical characters that I end up playing are like the um just because I always like investigating a lot. So I guess like a bookworm to make it something that I'd be more interested in playing myself as well, and also being able to pull from some growing up experience. That might be the easiest one for me to. That's the one that spoke most to me
Right on.
getting started.
Yeah, I like the bookworm. Yeah. So, with your bookworm chosen, I see the description. When you read, you travel thousands of miles to foreign countries. You speak with mad poets and discuss the meaning of life with philosophers who died hundreds of years ago. You have secret rendezvous at alpine peaks and shootouts with Russian agents. In real life, you wish that your pimples would not show as much as they do, and you long for the day you will leave this place so that your real life can truly begin. You have three key
Cover
skills.
up my forehead. There we go.
What's up?
Just gonna cover up my forehead, and it says talks about the pimples that you would like not to show.
Yeah. Oh, the forehead spots.
Oh yeah.
We all had them. Um, your key skills are calculate, investigate, and comprehend. Uh, Do you have you gone through the suggestions? For instance, the iconic item. There are three suggestions. There's a dog named Plutton, which is tiny, an encyclopedia, and a magnifying glass. I have a few notes about the iconic item. So, at the end of each mystery, when you're between mysteries, items that you acquire during a session disappear except for your iconic item. Your iconic item always stays with you unless you want to change it, or if in the heat of the moment, narratively speaking, it makes the most sense for your iconic item to get lost or destroyed. The main thing in this game is that everything has to make sense with the story. So, as trouble comes up and you try to solve your problems by taking on challenges and suffering consequences, the narrative continuity is kind of at the front more than the technicalities of rules. So, like, logic in this game is dictated by circumstance more than mechanics. But there are plenty of mechanics that work. They're flexible for that reason. But one of the things is like items just disappear, except iconic items.
Hmm.
Would you
Interesting.
take on one of those suggestions, or would you want to introduce your own? Because that is always an option for any iconic item, any problem, drive, pride. Uh, all of these things are open ended. It is or not necessarily open ended, but flexible. Your input is valued.
Hmm. I am trying to figure out what I want for my iconic item because, like, I always like the investigating kind of a thing. So encyclopedia sticks out from the they've given, but bumping ahead a little bit, thinking about the problem and the bookworm and all that stuff. I was just seeing the nobody tells me how my dad died, and I thought it would be interesting to have an iconic item that's tied to that and like try to already build the character, build a little bit of story. Um, where this is the setting has like the research facility or the old tech that exists all over the place. And I mean, my thought I had like my father, who was a researcher of some kind, had a set of keys or like a keychain that just had a whole bunch of stuff on it. So it's almost a multi-tool in a sense. And if that could be the iconic item to be able to get into places to investigate or to somehow have something that gives a tool at the right moment.
Okay. Yeah, I think something like a multi-tool. would work as an iconic item. I think, yeah, that might be a perfect one of those little perfect items. It might be cheating a little bit, but I'll
Yeah.
absolutely. I would
Well,
I would say yeah, that's a great. Uh,
it would be able to work once. That's my understanding, and I just am so curious how to make a dog work one time in a time that you need it
so
for
the
whatever you're looking for.
the iconic item, uh, you can use it multiple times per session. I
Oh,
believe. Where are
okay.
you seeing that it's only
Oh, I
once?
thought that was one of the things that you had said, but if that's
Oh
not true,
no,
well,
there there are some effects like that. That is true for your pride. Um,
okay.
That is something that you can only use once. Your iconic item is one of the most consistent things about your character. That it gives you a bonus to certain checks, but the check would have to make sense for using your iconic item in the bonus. Now, it's the way checks are conducted in this game is you get
Hmm.
into trouble, and then you roll with your trouble, add whatever bonuses you can using your attributes, any bonuses from the skills that you have specialization in, and any item bonuses that make sense for what you're working on.
I see.
And your iconic item it gives you a +2 bonus, which is the number of dice that you roll. And most of the time, you only need one success, which is rolling a 6 on a six-sided die. Unless it is extremely difficult, then you need two. And if it's nearly impossible, you need three successes in order to pass. And if you fail, something still happens. A
Hmm.
failure does not mean nothing happens. A failure would mean like a an effect happens that you would not find convenient for your goal. There's one skill in here. Let me find the name of the skill. Contact is one of the skills, and it's the ability to know the right person. Where at some point you might roll contact and try to call somebody on a payphone. Like, let's say you're trying to call your uncle, who is a security
Hmm.
guard in the loop. And when you make that call, if you fail the contact check, the person who picks up the phone might be your uncle's boss, and they send people to the payphone that you're calling from. So,
I see.
yeah, I don't know if that was helpful or a little bit tangential, but that is a little bit of how this game works. With an iconic item like a multi tool, most circumstances in life don't require a multi tool to attempt. So you wouldn't use it for every single check. But if what you're trying to do is break into a, a laboratory or open a door, you can use that multi tool to add a bonus to your roll and increase
Yeah.
your chances of success. That could also be used if you're trying to tinker and fashion something out of a piece of wood in order to, I don't know, fashion an even larger tool or something like that. There, there is a there's another check in here, a skill in the in the tech category. Yeah, tinker is a skill, and that is the ability to build and manipulate machines and other mechanical items. So if you're using your like Swiss Army knife in order to
Hmm.
tinker, you can add a +2 bonus for anything like that, but you wouldn't really use it for a bonus to do programming or calculating.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
it could give you a +2 to forcing something, which is lifting heavy things, fighting, or enduring physically stressful situations. Which, let me see, what is the last? Yeah, I'm just gonna throw the PDF for the list of skills in the chat here so that you have it at the ready.
Okay. Well, thinking about it, multi-tool's fun. I can see a fun pivot for the character to be like uh bookworm nerdy, but like Boy Scout nerdy. Not quite an outdoorsy kid like a hick, but to still be a little nature oriented. Um and knowledgeable about like the birds and stuff that are in the area. And so the multi-tool to be like the thing that he uses to whittle, but not in a super kick way, but like in a bookworm nerdy
Yeah,
kind of way.
yeah. No, I think that makes sense, and we're gonna roll with that. How about your characters? Um, uh,
Problem.
yeah, the problem. Oh, I think so. We have skipped ahead a little bit. How old is your character?
Oh, how old is my character? Um, I'll say 14 seems like a good age for them. I don't want them too young. But also,
Okay.
you telling me about them aging out has spooked me a little bit. So we're gonna,
Yeah,
I want to be able to play with them for a little bit at
you would
least.
have plenty of time. You would be able to age 1 year and then have another year with this character before they move
Hmm.
on to the next stage in their life that doesn't include solving mysteries. And by then, you probably have a better feel for the game and a sense of a character you might want to play next, anyhow. But we're going with 14. So here's what age affects. When you are older, that means you have higher attribute scores, but fewer luck points. And having higher attribute scores means you will always be better at certain actions, while more luck points makes you more versatile. So you're going to have, I think, 1 luck point, but you will have 14 points to distribute amongst your attributes.
And that is the body, tech, heart, and mind. Correct?
Correct. Yes. You max out at 5 in each, so you can't have more than 5 in a single attribute.
Cool.
I think you also need to have a minimum of 1 in each. Yeah.
Let me do some. All right, so I'm putting five in mind for sure. Just bookworm stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Got 14 points total. Tech feels like, well, actually, if I'm doing it kind of a nature kit, I can bring that one down a little bit. Feel like maybe he wouldn't be the best with technology.
Maybe not. Perhaps.
Uh, because it can either be three for all the other ones or two, three, four, and how I want to split those up. Um, hmm. See, I might have, or I'm looking, this might just end up being two, three, four, five down the attributes list.
Yeah. I
Two into
mean,
body, not feeling super confident with that yet. Um, three into tech. still growing up, but in the 80s with the loop, you do know some things about tech. Feel like he's got a lot of heart, just as a character, if he's gonna be kind of Boy Scouty, nerdy material, and then five in mind. So that brings us to 14 attribute score points.
Okay, very nice. The next step we were getting into. Um, oh, there is another step before we get into the individual details. You are going to have 10 points to put in your skills. You may take up to level 3 in the 3 key skills of your type. For other skills, a starting skill level of 1 is the maximum.
You said I had 10 of these.
Yes, so you have 10
Okay.
points to distribute amongst skills. And the key skills for the bookworm are calculate, investigate, and comprehend. And you can get up to level 3 in those 3 if you like.
All right.
Yeah.
I always like investigating, so I want to put three in investigate, three in comprehend, probably, which would leave four left. As I said, I'm probably not that good with tech, so the calculate one doesn't seem like the best right now. Though build seems kind of outdoorsy, kind of Boy Scouty, so I'll put one in that.
That would be Tinker.
There's build above Tinker.
It's it. There's one that says build.
In the thing that she'd sent me in the skills from top to bottom, I'm seeing sneak, force, move,
Oh,
build,
yeah.
tinker, calculate, contact, charm, lead, investigate, comprehend, and empathize.
Oh, okay. That is a typo. I'm gonna double check the what I have in here. Okay, so
Then
build
I'll bring it down
should
to
build should be Tinker,
okay.
and instead of build, it should say program, which would be like computer
Program.
programming.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
definitely avoiding that one. But Tinker does then Tinker's gonna work for me.
weird. Yeah, yeah. I got this PDF directly from the Free League website, and there's a typo in it. My goodness, I should let them
Well,
know.
if anything, hmm,
But yeah, I mean, if you want to
put
put that in build
one
or tinker, I guess those are the same thing.
one into Tinker, one into I feel like contact would be a good thing to for him to have any different ways of communicating through the woods or semaphores, smoke signals, but also knowing when to assess a situation and call the right person. I feel like I should get a plus one or whatever. Is this a plus one? When you're rolling the d6, you're trying to get to six? And that's
Yeah,
how.
so when you're getting
Okay.
that plus one is an additional die that you roll with it. So
Okay.
it increases your chances of rolling a success. It's like 1 in 6 times, however many.
That makes sense. I'll give him one in. I'm between move and sneak. Could give him
Ooh.
one to both. I feel like it's not force, because he's not strong.
Okay.
But would he move better because he's smarter, or would he sneak better because he's smarter? You know what? I'm gonna give it one to both,
All right.
and
Dude,
that
yeah,
gets
yeah.
me.
Do you want to add
Uh,
a backstory detail as to why that is? Like, did your character take ballet lessons, or
ooh,
perhaps um, perhaps it was a studying of literature about hunting?
At camp, he was really into capture the flag, but in the way of
Ooh,
sneaking over there instead of being either being super fast in the move or sneaking and being quiet in the sneak. So
nice. Yeah.
still outdoorsy stuff.
This is
And
the
also, I
camp
think that a
nerd.
lot of
Yeah.
the thinking about the books that he would have read would have been like fantasy, Lord of the Rings style, and still that would be like, oh, the hobbits sneakily walk through to Mordor instead of a bursting bound there. I think that's he would admire those kinds of people more.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, skills are check.
All right. We've successfully gotten through the nitty gritty numbers part of the character creation, which is choosing your type to determine key skills, deciding your age to determine the number of luck points you have, and the number of points that you can distribute among your attributes, and uh, the 10 points distributed to your skills. Excellent. I
Great.
do, before we go too far, I want to describe how luck points work because you have one luck point. You can spend a luck point after a failed dice roll. A luck point lets you re-roll the failed dice without needing to push. You cannot go back to the earlier result. You cannot spend more than one luck point on a single dice roll. Your luck points are replenished after each play session. You cannot save them between sessions.
Oh,
So every session with your one luck point, being 14 years old and not yet 15, you can re-roll one failed dice roll. You can also re-roll by pushing, which you can do once. I'll read the description here. When you fail a roll, you may choose to immediately retry the task by mentally or physically pushing yourself to the limit of your abilities. When you push, you first mark a condition that fits the story and re-roll. If you fail again, you cannot push again, but you may use a luck point or your pride. Now,
oof.
uh,
All right.
let's let's look at what some of these words mean, like pride. We have picked the iconic item. We have a Swiss Army knife, or I guess in this case, probably a Swedish Army knife.
Mm,
It's very Swedish. One thing that I really love about the illustrations in this book is the just staggering number of Volvos that are all over the place. It is an incredibly Swedish book.
are we meant to role play in the accent? Because I will say I'm not very good at Swedish accent.
You're supposed to role play in the language, Romeo. Do you not speak? Do you not speak Swedish?
Hey, all I have is the Muppet, the Swedish chef. A hurdy durdy curd.
Yeah, the expectation is not that you will role play in the Muppets Swedish chef accent. Um, there are two game settings. One of them is in Nevada, just outside of Las Vegas. If I don't know what the Las Vegas accent is, but they must have one, right? They must. Should go to Nevada
Yeah.
sometime just to mingle with the locals and
Figure out
figure out.
figure out what the natives sound like.
Yeah,
Doesn't Guy Fieri do a bunch of stuff out there? Las Vegas here.
yeah. We're gonna role play all doing impressions of Guy Fieri. Uh, all right, well, we've got our iconic item.
Okay, okay, okay.
Your character still needs a problem, a drive, and a pride, as well as an anchor. And those are things that can be determined individually. There are some other things that require a party to figure out what your relationships are. So, what
Hmm.
might a problem be for your bookworm? It sounds like you are taking a shine to the um, lost father problem.
Yeah,
Okay.
I it seems like a interesting one that provides depth without, I don't know. getting a it seems interesting. I think that especially with the tying in of parental figures that you could have for working at the loop,
Mm-hmm.
other kind of affectations from like the different technology in the area, having a disappeared dad or a dead dad, a
Yeah.
parent of some kind in a
Yeah.
mysterious way. Seems interesting.
Absolutely. I think that that would definitely um, inspire some trouble, perhaps in the contact skill, um, where you have a lot of questions and you have a lot of people who remember your father and probably want to help you out or just make sure that
Mm,
you're staying in line, that check in on you. And um, probably would also uh, bring in some of the skills that you didn't seem too keen on. Maybe calculate. Did you take a skill in calculate? Or
did I take a skill? No, that is the one that I left blank. The one that
okay,
I yeah, the one class skill or kid skill that I did not take. Interesting.
yeah, that's all right. Yeah, but that problem of no one telling you how your father died would certainly spark curiosity in your investigative character to perhaps test the boundaries of how much you are permitted to seek information, and maybe people will try and get in your way.
Mm,
Um, what about a drive? I see two suggestions for drive in the bookworm section.
Suggestion for driver. I want to find answers to the big questions in life. I need something to brag about.
Hmm.
Interesting.
You can also choose, or you can make one up if you would rather pick something that's not on the list. But you mentioned that your kid is the capture the flag scout that would go out and uh, take the other team's flag
It's
unnoticed.
definitely more in the needing something to brag about
Right. That's what I'm seeing.
vein.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a good drive to have for
Yeah.
him.
Pushing the limits in order to uh, set new personal bests. Yeah, I like that.
Absolutely.
What are the options for the bookworm?
The options for the bookworm here, for pride are I'm the smartest kid in school and nothing scares me.
So, this is the book's description of pride. Every kid has a
So
pride. So,
on, on the sheet,
yeah,
pride has a little box.
yes. The box there is to indicate whether or not you have used it yet, this mystery. Because pride is something that you only get to use once per
Mm,
mystery.
okay.
I'll read what is in the book here. Every kid has a pride, something that makes you feel strong, important, and valuable. Pride may be well known to the group or a secret. The game master should use the pride to put you in trouble by setting up scenes that highlight or threaten the pride. A classmate turns out to be as good or better than you at school. Dad is losing his job at the fire station. An animal is tormented. Pride is also a tool for you to understand and play your kid. Problem and pride may interact, and pride can even become a problem, but it may also be two separate things. You can change your pride between mysteries. The same is true for problems. Once per mystery, you may check your pride to get one automatic success
Oh,
in a dice roll.
interesting.
You can check your pride after a failed roll or even after a successful roll in order to get an extra success. You must explain how your pride helps you. If the mystery takes several sessions to play, or if the group plays the mystery landscape, pride may be checked once every session.
If we're picking one from the book, I think I could work more with Nothing Scares Me right now. But if we were to make one up, just trying to see if this works with the intentions of the rule set are.
Yeah.
Like if I said like I know everything about these woods, and the
Mm.
mystery takes place of like, oh, the tech that shows up in the woods, and we all fail. It's like, no, 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 I know this, and then I could re-roll the dice or like choose a success on that. Or is that like not quite what a pride is supposed to be?
It could be, and it is an automatic success. So if uh, your your pride is, I know everything about these woods, um, that could be a possibility. It would only apply in the woods,
Yes, that
or
was that's a little bit limiting in what I was seeing for the rest of these things. Yeah.
it could also be, you know everything about the woods, and if you're trying to identify something mysterious that is causing trouble around the school, it could be an automatic success of, oh, you know that this came from the woods, or like there was one just
Hmm.
like it in the woods, and you know how it works. Um, though that is one of those things that you just have to find some narrative explanation. And let's be real, they don't have to be ironclad and crystalline. We can agree to be a little bit flexible in order to uh, find a solution that makes sense. If you want it to be, I know everything that goes on in the woods behind my house, and that covers, like a square uh, kilometer or whatever. And to
Yeah,
remember the unit of measurement they use in Sweden,
absolutely.
they
A
like,
European.
yeah, metric.
Interesting. Yeah, we'll stick with it. We're gonna branch out just a tiny bit on some of these.
Okay. So you want the woods one? Is that
Yeah, why not?
all right? Branching out indeed. Uh, and next up, we've got a problem. We've got a drive. We've got a pride. Your relationship to the other kids and to the NPCs. So your relationship to kids and NPCs. Now, we don't have other kids at the table to develop relationships with, but there are other NPCs in the world, including your mother, um,
Hmm.
the other people in the community. Perhaps you have an uncle that you know and have in the community to call upon. Um, One relationship that we might as well start with, it's the next step in the character creation checklist, is the anchor. An anchor is an NPC that you can call upon for support. And if you have any conditions, you might see on your character sheet uh, there's a list of conditions of angry, scared, exhausted, injured, and broken. When you have a moment in the game to visit your anchor, you can reset your conditions and essentially wipe the slate clean. I will have to double check if that's true for broken. Broken is unlike the others, in which
Hmm.
you can only be considered broken if you have all four other conditions marked and you have to mark another condition. Uh, Marking conditions is something that happens on a failed test. Not all test failures result in marking a condition, but if you are in a high stakes situation where you might get injured or scared or
Hmm.
so on and so forth, any of the conditions that might apply um, in that moment, it may cause a condition. If you want to push a roll, you choose a condition to mark and take on in order to re-roll. Um, Success or failure, you have to take on a condition if you're pushing a roll. Um, and other circumstances
Ooh.
may bring some on, but that's what they that's what conditions are and how they work. And having an anchor that you can visit and check with is your way of removing your conditions, and it just removes all of them.
Oh, nice.
So who would your anchor be? Would it be somebody from the camp that you go to, or would it be someone in your family that you trust, or somebody who's helped you
I,
uh,
okay.
in your grieving process after your father passed away?
I think it would end up being both the camp-ish person and what you said at the end, where somebody would help you through when you're after the father had passed. So I
They
could
can be the
see
same
like
person, yeah.
exactly like a camp director that kind of stepped into being a bit more of a fatherly figure for him after this sudden disappearance of his father.
I
Like,
like that a lot. I think camp director um, is an excellent role for the anchor. Um, do you have a vision for what they're like? Like the conversations that you have with the camp director, are they uh, usually personal, or is it a more organic sense of belonging by um, going out on the lake and rowing a canoe together? um, that connection just kind of is felt more so than spoken, or is it a philosophical relationship that you share with this character where they give advice that resonates and they are able to feed your curiosity for the intellectual um, aspects of your reading? Do they recommend books?
I was thinking about the last one, then you put it into words, where it just be what I had seen this anchor or this kind of person not being, my mom specifically, but I wanted to be camp director who was like a essentially like a high school classmate of my father,
Okay,
but they
yeah.
did work together. So if my dad disappeared at the loop, like at work, he wouldn't know, but he would know him and would still be able to be like, oh, when we were growing up, this was your dad's favorite book, or like we would do this in the woods kind of a thing. So kind of a mix of all the things that you talked about a little bit, where it's recommendations of activities and learning experiences that are a connection.
I love that. I love that. Now, I do have a little bit of bad news about your
Okay.
kid's mom and every other adult in this world is your
Uh-oh.
anchor is basically the only adult that will treat you like a person. All of the other adults will be dismissive. They won't believe
Well,
what you tell them. Your mom will be more concerned with your grade point average than whether or not you've experienced trauma, and
I
that will be a
mean,
theme. Your teachers don't really care about you, but your anchor uh, will be there. So you have
well, yeah. With my mom, that makes sense. She's super busy. Since my dad disappeared, she has to pick up more shifts at the diner and doesn't really have time to do more than come back and maybe make me dinner and go to sleep. Like,
mm.
I get it. So had to find someone else as the anchor.
Does your mother have any coping mechanisms that may not be so healthy? Does she drink? Is she um, addicted to any drugs, or perhaps
I feel like if she did anything, it'd either be drinking or something specific to the loop, where it's some kind of technological addiction that she has. But again, I would be less familiar with this than the game master, and I would say open book if you want to give her something that way either.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Some kind of like cosmic vibrator. Uh,
Something like that. Yeah,
yeah, something like that. The shock therapy that
but it feels good. Yeah.
yeah, it
Like,
makes you see the new color that scientists have just recently
mm,
discovered, that super saturated
yes,
teal. That's the other thing she's addicted to is
is
uh,
teal.
that ultra saturated teal color. Um, okay. Now, at school, how do the other kids in your class respond to you? Do they call you names? Are they trying to cheat from your tests? Are they do they want you to do their homework for them? How do the other kids at school uh, think of you, treat you?
I think that they would use him for like group projects and science fair project kind of a thing, like in the bookworm way, but in a at least at my school in like sixth grade, you would get owl pellets and like break it apart and then reassemble like a mouse skeleton and be like, oh, this owl ate one or two mice. And the girls wouldn't want to touch it. So he would be in there, not with the tweezers, but with his hands, just like going through and
God's tweezers, yeah.
something like that, where he is being used by some people to get better grades. Yeah, I think
Okay.
that would make sense with some of the other NPC kids.
Yeah. All right. And I imagine your teachers appreciate that you do your homework on time, but perhaps they're a little bit um, uh,
I
suspicious
get,
that about your activity being the group member that always does all the work. That
oh yeah,
they always want somebody else to answer the question. You're you always have your hand raised, and they're always looking for somebody else to call on. Um,
I think that's pretty accurate for this kind of character.
yeah. Okay. Let's double check uh, this checklist. You've got your iconic item, your problem, drive, pride, relationship to kids and NPCs. You've got your anchor. We need a name. Uh, I think there are suggested names in here even
There
for
are suggested names in here, and the Swedish ones are wonderful.
yeah.
Niles, Christian, unless it's Christian, not sure. Magnus and Jan.
Yeah, however we attempt to pronounce them, we are going to get them at least a little bit, if not entirely wrong. Um, all of those vowels, as we expect them to be, is not how they are. But there
Different
are
language.
in orange brackets and orange text, the United States-ified names of is that Aaron, Darren, Joshua, and Thomas?
Can't believe they've been Aaron and Darren. And one of the girls' options is Aaron as well.
They
That's
had a very
wonderful.
specific name in mind for somebody knew a
It's all
bookworm.
rhyming. It's all
Yeah,
rhyming. Yeah. Um, no, but I chose his name as Kevin Duff.
Kevin Duff. And for nicknames, you brought up hobbits a few times, and Frodo is in here. We thinking Frodo for
What's well, no, that would be a nickname that he gives himself. I think Frodo would be like if a bullying kind of nickname and he just kind of let it run.
yeah, yeah.
But I was thinking if he was to give himself a nickname, it would, or if a bully really read Lord of the Rings and knew what they were talking about, whichever was the hobbit that kicks the bucket down the well and it causes all the orcs to like find them in Moria. It's either Merry or Pippin, but one of them keeps making mistakes and they would just be like, oh yeah, the clumsy bad hobbit. That's the one, not the hero hobbits. The
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think. All right, so considering the media
Peregrine
that was
took, yeah,
around in
it's
the
Peregrine,
80s,
but I
um,
don't think that they would know. I think they would just be Frodo.
There was that one animated Lord of the Rings that came out. Who was the animator that did that? Oh, I've watched his stuff before. He also did Wizards. It's like Lord of the Rings animated.
But I remember that Gandalf says "fool of a took,"
Yeah,
and it's Peregrine took, so it'd be uh Pippin. I don't think
yeah.
it's Mary.
So yeah, the kids in school, the bullies, they probably would have the reference of Ralph Bakshi's Lord of the Rings from 1978, um, which is it's an odd one. Have you given it a shot before?
I have not, but I have seen clips of it animated on like TikTok and stuff. So I've
Yeah,
seen that it's a little it's different than the live action movies, I'll say.
it is. But it's also relatively similar because Peter Jackson grew up with that version, loved it, and used it as reference for a lot of what he did with the live action Lord of the Rings.
Interesting.
But it's like all rotoscope, so all of the movement is like weirdly fluid and looks like the that one guy, Joel Haver or Haver.
Oh
That
yeah. I
yeah,
He's got funny stuff, but
he does.
that's a fascinating style to keep the whole show animated in.
It
I don't
looks
know if I would do it, but
a bit sharper than what he does. He like automates that rotoscope style animation.
yeah.
Bakshi was like he did a lot of mixture of like different levels of detail.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's pretty trippy. We have gotten off track a little bit, but
All right,
might
we're
as
back.
well
We're gonna
just
I'll give the nickname. We'll keep the nickname simple. Do a
yeah,
Frodo for this one.
yeah. Um, I think a bully in this time would probably give you the nickname as recommended here of Professor because you do all the schoolwork so good. You know all the assignments. All right.
I'll keep it.
And I think there's only one well, there's two things. There's write a short description where you can give a physical description of what your character looks like and what their voice sounds like and any other details that weren't covered so far. And lastly would be picking a favorite song. Um,
I have to go through my 80s playlists and see if there's anything that he would like that makes sense.
Yeah, to when I was preparing for this walkthrough tonight, I was listening to a lot of Depeche Mode. Um,
Mm,
just threw on a little Spotify mix of 80s songs. Maybe some Gary Newman, Tears for Fears, all
Tears for
those.
Fears I was seeing.
Yeah, Duran
When
Duran,
did, yeah, I
they're
was like,
fun.
I just picked up a Duran Duran thing. I'm like, when did this album come out? Does it make sense? 1982. Yes, it does. So, Hungry Like the Wolf is his favorite song.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah. A creature of the woods indeed.
Absolutely. I was just like, that kind of makes sense. Is it the right? Because I have a 80s music playlist. It's just like, it's just got to not be 89. I think I can justify anything else for like which songs maybe came out a little bit earlier or whatever in this retro future timeline. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I love the aesthetic of this, of the illustrations. It
the illustrations are so cool with like the decrepit tech in the
mhm.
fog, and yet the human tech that you're used to is like old school. It's it's got a really cool vibe to it, I will say.
Yeah, I've um by looking through these illustrations and looking at communities that celebrate them on Reddit, I found cassette futurism has lots of stuff that fits right into this aesthetic, uh, and it is so much fun. One thing I love about this property is that the illustrations are just so sharp and like well composed. The coloring is really good.
Yeah.
I have some big loud complaints about what they did with the TV show. But one thing that they did get right was the lighting and the
Yes.
animation was really good too. I think they did puppets, looked like puppets at times, and I was like, hell yeah, this is so much fun to look at. Then you try and make sense of like the story that they're trying to tell, and it just all falls apart. It's tragic. But it's a really neat world with like robots, like mech style robots that walk around, as well as
Hmm.
um, little handheld devices. In the show that was deeply flawed, I loved the way that they handled certain pieces of tech. There's one episode where the character May, she finds this thing in the water and fixes it by tinkering with it. She's like a genius with her hands and knows all the technology. And when she gets it to work, it turns out to be a device that's able to stop time and
I
she's
really
able
like
to
that
move
episode.
around. That that episode was one that I thought looked really cool and the way they handled the special effects was perfect, but the story that was told deeply flawed.
The what love story was it? The,
There was a
the best
love
friend story?
story
Yeah,
that like again it could have been told more efficiently and the way they like chose characters. They chose like a one-off character that then was rendered inconsequential at the end of the episode when they could have had more drama with another character that was introduced and had like a ton
oh
of
yeah,
baggage with May, and they just didn't explore it at all. And I have we can do it better. We can do it better in our role playing sessions of this game. That Romeo, you now have a kid to romp around this world.
perfect. Um, Going back to the sheet, I know we went pretty far afield for a little bit. Going back to the
Yeah.
sheet, just making sure that there's nothing else that we have to do because relationships make sense with the other
Hmm.
party members and PCs. Do I have to fill out anything for the items, the hideout, or the notes? The bottom
Um,
half of the sheet?
you will mark your iconic item. Hideout is a good one. Yeah, we didn't determine hideout. I think I left out the bits that would require group input. Um, let's
Oh, is that
see.
the group hideout?
Yeah, but you're flying solo
That's cool.
tonight, and I'm not above running sessions for uh, singular adventures. Let's see, 63. So the hideout, the kids have a hideout together where they can be alone and safe. The players should agree on where their hideout is and where it's located. I imagine yours would be in the woods.
I was thinking like a treehouse of some kind, like a Fort Byers from Stranger Things season one, but like in the trees, so it's a bit more safe than on the ground.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I dig it. Um, let's see some other details about your hideout. The game master may not let NPCs find the hideout unless the kids show it to them, so it's a safe space, unless you make it vulnerable. Um, I may not put you in trouble while you're in there, so you won't have to do any tests. Um, you can put yourself in trouble if you want. You can heal your conditions in the hideout the same way you would with your anchor. This
Oh,
requires
that's
that
cool.
two or more of the kids are present and that they are physically or mentally close to each other. For example, hugging, telling secrets or stories, or comforting one another. If the kids put themselves in trouble during the same scene, they don't heal any conditions. All kids share the same hideout. So that's why it would be a group thing. Like it would be a treehouse that your friends would have access to. Um, and we're not sure who all is in that group just yet. Um, the last thing is questions. I actually forgot about this entirely, but this is a really fun part of character creation.
Oh wow.
So I'm going to ask you a series of questions about your character, and then you will share your answers, and that will That should finish rounding them out. Are there any other blank spaces on your character sheet that you were looking at?
The only other thing is that we haven't talked about yet is experience, but I
Oh,
think
yeah. So experience. At the end of each session, the game master will distribute experience points to the kids. These can be used to raise skills. It costs 5 XP to raise a skill by 1 level, and 5 is the maximum level in any skill. Read more about XP in Chapter 6. Let's see. All right, and Chapter 6 starts with a disclaimer that this is for the Game Master's eyes only.
okay.
But
Then that will be a secret for later.
yeah, what you need to know about XP points is that you will be rewarded XP at the end of sessions, and it takes 5 XP points to raise a skill level by 1, and you max out skills at 5. Um, so, are you ready for these questions?
Yes.
All right. In what way has your problem gone from bad to worse lately?
I'll say that this will be problem with the my dad dying has gone from bad to worse recently. Um, it's getting close to the anniversary of it, and that affects my mom a lot. So both I'm going to be affected emotionally by the fact, we'll say it's the third year that he has been missing, but she also always gets worse at this time.
Okay. What does your mom do for work? I think you said diner.
Yeah, she is a waitress at the diner.
Okay. What do you think about at school?
At school, I think about what we're learning and uh, how I can bring it to the woods and maybe make something cooler in the tree house, like using math and angles to maybe make another room on top of it or something like that, where it would just be how can we apply these things bookworm nerd style to make new things.
Okay. Constantly thinking about how you will use it in real life.
Hmm.
Um, what is your favorite food?
Spaghetti. A lot of the other things from spaghetti are like long perishables, can be frozen, and I can make it on my own.
Do you have siblings? What do you think about them?
Ooh, good question. Um, I think it's funny when there's like the older sister trope for some of these like old time like teen movies. I think the teen little brother and the older sister trope is good. So yes, I have an older sister. Her name is Diana.
Diana's a great name. Uh, what does your room look like?
My room looks like a has a lot of wood paneling and a scruffy carpet, and has let me think. I think it has posters of like national parks or something, places that I want to visit at some point.
What do you dream about at night?
At night, I think Kevin would dream about doing things like the things that he does with the camp director, and then every now and then it's his dad is there too.
Hmm. Hmm. What makes you angry?
Uh, when people are mean to animals, I'll say, or yeah,
What do you want to work at when you grow up?
Think it would be cool to work at the camp for sure.
What do you think about sports?
Sports are fun, but only when you're like really active in them. I think that when you have to run for something, or if it's like soccer or basketball, something where you're doing something the whole time, that's good. When it's like baseball and it's a lot of standing around and waiting, that's a lot less fun.
What is your experience with robots?
Experience with robots has been that I think my dad, though he worked at the Loop, kind of kept me away from them a bit. And that adds to the intrigue of what happened to him. Does that. So a little bit fearful, but they're always present in this town in Sweden, Nevada. So
I love that answer. It's a little spooky. There's a lot of questions there.
exactly. I'm just like, I feel like that fits the images that I've seen. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Uh, this one's a little Samwise Gamgee. What is the furthest you have traveled from your hometown?
I think we would have traveled to um hmm. All right, we're gonna plant the flag. We are in Nevada or whatever. We are
Okay,
in the
yeah. Yeah.
US version of this. Um and we have gone to the California coast to see my paternal grandparents.
Okay. How are you affected by your pride?
Um,
Also, what
I
is your pride again, if I might ask?
that was the I know everything that happens in these woods.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, how am I affected by my pride? I think this is the one where it pushes me to do better, correct? And I get to use that once. Hmm. I think it helps me be more confident in like uh this is tricky. Sorry. Um, how am I affected by my pride? Oh, I can confidently go into the woods at any point, whether or not it's like actually safe. If it's
Okay.
like at nighttime and I don't have a flashlight, I feel totally okay going in there, whether or not that's a I do know what I'm doing or you shouldn't be doing that. It's kind
Okay.
of a pride comes before the fall kind of a pride.
Is that uh, assurance? Does that make you feel more comfortable when you are out and about, like in regular day-to-day tasks, or
Oh, I
do
also
you
think,
wish you were there?
yeah,
Do you feel like you're a fish out of water when you're not in the woods?
I think knowing everything about the woods helps me know where I am in other places. So when
Hmm.
people are like, "Oh, I have no idea where I am in the mall," take a look at the map, easily know where I'm supposed to go from that point. Just
Okay, yeah.
have a good sense of direction, essentially.
You're that guy that's like, all right, where is the sun right now?
Yeah.
Know exactly what time it is, and you know exactly
Uh-huh.
which way is north. Okay, I like that.
I think that works.
I'm gonna quick scan through the questions for the group to see if there is anything that can work on an individual level. I see one, which is what makes you laugh. I like that question.
I think that would be fart jokes as a 14-year-old. Yes.
Okay. Who dislikes you?
Um, the I don't want to say popular girls because popular people are actually get along well with everybody. I think the ones that would be like the fashionable. girls
Okay.
would see me
Yeah.
as like a little woodsy, a little dirty, a little weird that way. But um, people who care a lot about looks.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think that those are all the questions from the questions for the group that could be asked on an individual level in a way that feels like it could still make sense. But like we got fart jokes.
Cool.
We've got the fashionistas think you're dirty and weird, uh, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it. A lot of them. Some of the other questions in here are um, who in the group has the most to say? When did you get to know each other? What secrets do you have? I think that works on a group level more than an individual level. For you, like
Hmm.
on an individual level, you just got some secrets that you don't share. Um,
Do you start with like a group secret in some of these adventures, or is that something like your first adventure you do something, and then in your second adventure you have group secrets?
hmm. Um, I think it depends on the group that gets set up. So if the start of the game a group that assembles that members might be new to each other, that they don't have a background of being lifelong friends, that they're just put together for this instance. A circumstance might
Hmm.
be you've been paired up for a class project, and the secret that you share is that um, you two have already discussed that um, your character, is it Kevin? Is that the name?
Kevin. Yeah. Seemed
Yeah.
like a good bookworm name.
Kevin is going to do all of the work, and um, you know, uh, Goofus is going to do nothing, and that's like
Hmm.
you are still going to like the secret might be Goofus is going to pay you $20 to make it look
Ah,
like he's doing more of the
that they
work.
were part of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And the person who dislikes you might be the teacher that knows exactly what's going on, or um, um, who wants to be in the gang is another question in here. What are you fighting about? Who among you is the most mocked? Who is the leader? Who is in love with whom? What sets you
Mm.
apart from other kids as a group? What are you not talking about? And what do you like to do? Presumably, what would you like to do together? Um, and these questions give these characters a lot to work with and a lot of like narrative form and build a foundation to uh, get these uh, uh, get these adventures underway. Uh, I think this is about where we're going to wrap up. Do you
Great.
have any questions that about like how the game works, um, about what kind of things happen in this world, or anything we haven't covered?
Oh, I guess the one of the last things I was thinking about for the game itself, the conditions: angry, scared, exhausted, injured, and then broken. Is
Yeah,
broken the worst you can get for your character, or is this a TTRPG where your character can die?
that is a great question, and I had intended to cover that earlier. Your character cannot die. Broken is the worst that your character can suffer. Um,
Okay.
I have a description here. So, conditions. The kids cannot die, but they can suffer from conditions. When you try to overcome trouble
Ah.
but fail, or if you push a dice roll, you may be forced to take a condition. There are 5 conditions. The first 4 are mild: upset, scared, exhausted, and injured. The exact interpretation of a condition can vary and may need to be adapted to the situation at hand. You decide what condition to take in a given situation, and you get a -1
Mm.
on all dice rolls until it is healed. Additional conditions are cumulative. Two conditions give -2 on dice rolls. If all four mild conditions are marked and you take another condition, you are broken. If you get broken, something really bad has happened. You are mentally or physically hurt, and you will automatically fail all dice rolls until healed. The conditions are also an indicator for how to play the kid. You decide how much you want to play out your conditions in the scenes. The game master can help you by asking questions. How do you feel? In what way are you upset? And you should never be forced to play your condition if you don't want to do so.
Okay, great. Uh, yeah, that answered all my questions on that. That's
Yeah.
fun to have an informed, yeah, like the conditions, an informed route to continue your role play from strictly from what happens in the story.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a nice little filter through which you can uh, do your role play, and it's easily marked on the character
Yeah.
sheet and ready to be seen. The way uh, tests are conducted too, with the -1, that is taking one of the dice out. One of the things to clarify with attributes and skills, those stack. So your attributes, uh, you let's say you have a skill test in what was one of your key skills that you
The key skill that I have a bunch in would be investigate.
investigate? So investigate is one of the
Is
uh,
mind, yes.
mind and investigate. You would add mind to investigate, and if you have another item to that would help you. Let's say you're investigating, and while you're investigating by dissecting an owl pellet to see if there's like a little piece of robot in it,
Hmm.
you're using your iconic item, the Swedish army knife
The
that you have in
yes.
Nevada. Um,
As is established.
you would
I
add uh, you would add all of those together. So what is your mind?
got 5 on mind.
Oh, okay. Wait, so
You said that the cap was 5 for attributes
the
and
cap was
3 for
5, yeah.
skills.
So you put all 5 in mind? Nice.
Well, I had 14 points to
That's right.
to move around, so might as well max out
5
my mind.
plus 3 plus 2. You would roll 10 dice to determine your success in.
I'm gonna give it a shot.
All
I'm gonna
right.
see how this goes.
Awesome.
Do you need a certain number of successes, or you just need one six?
We're going to say for this test, it is difficult, which means you need one success. And you have to roll a 6 to get a success.
Okay. We have one six.
Only one.
Only one. Um,
Well, you
three
got it.
ones, a two, two threes, and three fives, and one six.
That is enough to pass. Now, let's say, hypothetically, you rolled 3 successes. If
Hmm.
you had rolled multiple successes, you would have the opportunity to take on some bonus effects. So, the description of the investigate skill in the book is the ability to find hidden objects, understand clues, break puzzles, or survey a place or a situation. You get to ask 2 of these questions with a success.
Ooh.
What is hidden here and where is it? What does it mean? What has happened here? How can I get into, out of, or past something? What threats can I perceive here? Where is it? If the roll fails, you have misunderstood something, someone has found out something about you, or you suffer a condition. The game master
Oh.
decides. With multiple successes, you can add on bonus effects. So if you had 3 successes, you could ask one additional question and get a +1 die on one roll when you use the information, up to +3. So when you have outstanding successes, you get bonus effects. Um, I think a typical one is you can like give your success to another kid. Um,
Hmm.
so if you are sneaking and another kid in the group is sneaking with you and they fail, but you roll 2 successes, you can give one of your successes to them, if that makes sense. Or if everyone succeeds and there's just more to go around, you find something unexpected or more of what you were looking for. Um, so that is how tests work when you are faced with trouble. Um, all right, I think we've covered pretty
I
much
think that
everything.
covers.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
that's
covers
how
all
the
my
game works.
questions.
That's how you make a character, and that's how you do it.
Amazing.
All
All
right.
right.
Thank you so much
Yeah,
for joining the call and walking through this with me. I really enjoyed that. And if you ever want to play sometime, let me know. You've got a character that's ready to go. Um,
sweet.
and yeah, I think that'll be good. Until then, peace out.
See ya. Thanks so much.
Thank you.